Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to another Sims 4 house building video. In today's video I am building the house from episode 5, I think episode 5 of WandaVision. This house, I was really excited to build this because I'm a massive Marvel fan, but I've also wanted to try build something a little more challenging, and I think whenever you're building something from reference or from real life in The Sims, it always poses a bit of a challenge. So I was really excited to build this house, but I didn't anticipate how hard it would be because if you haven't seen WandaVision, or if you have, or you're familiar with sitcoms in general, WandaVision follows kind of a sitcom aesthetic, and in true sitcom fashion, the interior of the house doesn't even slightly match the exterior of the house. So when building this, I had to take a lot of creative liberties, but I think I ended up making something that looked pretty good, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I did have to cut out a lot of the building footage just because I messed around a lot. Like you saw just there, I jumped and all of the landscaping and the garage portion of the house was like completely finished. I spent so long trying to figure out how to make the garage work, and like obviously not work, we don't have cars in The Sims, but I just wanted it to look the part, and I think I got there in the end, but it did take a long time, so I did cut it out. But right here in this section of the house is where in the show that's like the front door, but on the outside there's a massive section of the house on the left hand side when you're looking at the house, which doesn't exist when you walk in the front door, because just inside the front door there's windows that look out onto like a garden, but from the outside there should be a room there. So I had to take some creative liberties, and I ended up putting in the windows, but I put an office space kind of at the other side of that wall, and I kind of just put like plants and stuff up against the window to kind of give the illusion of like, oh, it could be outside, but it's not. So yeah, this house isn't 100% accurate, but I think I got a pretty good likeness given the circumstances. This house also has a lot of platforms that I ended up putting in, just because in the show the house has like a few steps up and down, but I think I had to add in a couple just to make it functional. Just kind of between rooms and stuff, I had to like either raise or lower the ground a little bit. Right here you can see I'm putting in the windows that I was talking about earlier, and I do just end up putting kind of plants at the other side just to give that illusion of it being outside, or that it could be outside, but it's really not. Also, this little section here I really struggled with. There was these cool like dividers that are in the show, and this house has like a very 80s aesthetic, but these ones that I have in right now, they weren't really working, so I ended up going into the, what's it called? Debug menu, and I ended up getting out those little kind of poles. I think they came with City Living, and they ended up working pretty well. They're not really the right colour, but I was willing to look past that just because it kind of gave the right aesthetic. But yeah, overall I'm really happy with how this house turned out. It's my first time in a long time building something from reference in such detail. Usually, like when I'm building something, I'll go on Pinterest and I'll find generic modern house or a suburban family home, and I'll usually use that as like a point of reference. But this house, I literally went on to Disney Plus and I took so many screenshots trying to get it as accurate as possible, and I think in the end it turned out pretty good. There's definitely things that like I had to substitute because obviously The Sims is limited in that sense, but overall I am pretty happy with it. But yeah, right now I'm just working on the kitchen, and I really like this kind of section here. Kind of a weird little dividing section, and I ended up just turning that into a hallway that leads down to a bathroom and office space, and I threw in a laundry room down there as well. But yeah, I just really like this kitchen. It really runs with that whole 80s aesthetic, and I'm not familiar with older sitcoms, but I think this episode of WandaVision was based on the Brady Bunch. I might have that wrong, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I just really like this kind of 80s aesthetic, and it was really cool to build in a style that I'm not completely familiar with. I tend to just build very either modern or industrial homes, um, just because it's kind of what I've always done and it's what I'm comfortable doing. But this house was a pretty cool challenge, kind of across the board, both working from references and in a style that I'm not really used to. It was pretty cool. I definitely want to do more houses like this that are based on something. I had a lot of fun doing it. Just going back to talking about how the outside doesn't really match up with the inside, and I did have to take a lot of creative liberties. This entire wall that you're seeing there, where I just placed that window, in this entire episode, you don't actually see that wall. I rewatched the episode like twice because I was convinced that I saw it, but I didn't. They do show it in different episodes, but if you're not familiar with WandaVision, basically they kind of keep the same house floor plan, but the entire aesthetic of the house changes with every episode. I don't want to go into like spoiler territory too much, just because it's never fun to spoil shows, but but yeah, basically I just kind of made up that entire section of the house, kind of where the garage is on the left side of the screen there, behind the TV, just that entire wall I just took complete creative liberty with. But yeah, overall I think it worked pretty well. The entryway I really do like this whole entry section here that I'm working on, and the kind of living area, right over to the stairs and dining room. I think this whole room is pretty accurate to the show. I didn't really clutter it as much as I would have liked to, but there's a lot of items that we don't have in The Sims that were in the show, and you know, I just didn't think it was going to look right if I just started substituting in different objects and stuff. Also, something I never realised that we didn't have was kind of a runner on the stairs, like a carpeted section going up the stairs. I feel like that's the thing in a lot of homes, and it's kind of weird that we don't have that in The Sims, but it was kind of a key feature that I noticed in like all of my screenshots, and it was kind of annoying that I couldn't replicate that in The Sims. Just onto the kitchen here, something that I really liked about this house was kind of how tacky it is. Like that wallpaper, I don't think I've ever used it. Same with that tiling in the kitchen. I don't know, I just don't think I've ever had the chance to use it, and it was kind of fun going outside my comfort zone, like I said, and just doing something a bit different. And I kind of ran with that idea in the rest of the rooms. From this point onwards in the house, it's kind of my own creative liberty. There's no references for bathrooms or office spaces or even the backyard, and I don't think we've seen the upstairs of the house since episode 1 or 2. And like I said, the entire house has changed since then. So I kept the same location of Wanda and Vision's bedroom, which is at like the front right corner of the house when you're looking at it. So I kept that as their bedroom location, but I took complete liberty with what it looks like, and I have a feeling I made it bigger than it should be. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, considering I had nothing to work from, and I was kind of running with the same style, but still like putting my own spin on things. If you haven't seen the latest episode, I don't know if this classifies as a spoiler, but I'm going to give a bit of a warning now. But Wanda and Vision end up having twins, and the boys end up growing up like really quickly. They're basically magic kids, and they are growing at like such a rapid pace. But basically in the previous episode, we saw that they had like a nursery at the front of the house, and I did include that. It's not accurate at all, just because, like I said, the floor plan doesn't really make sense, so it's a really, really small room, but I did include it. But upstairs I did give like the older version of the twins their own individual bedrooms, and I had a lot of fun with kind of running with it and putting my own spin on things, because if you're not familiar with the Marvel comics, Wanda's kids are like pretty, I would say, pretty famous characters in Marvel Comics. Her son, I think it's Billy. I think Billy grows up to be Wiccan, who's like basically a carbon copy of Wanda, but he's a boy, and he has the same kind of like reality warping magic powers. So I kind of ran with that kind of magic aesthetic in his room. And in Tommy's room, he grows up to be Speed, and he's basically Quicksilver, who's like Wanda's brother. And yeah, I just really I had a lot of fun kind of running with that idea of like their future personas and how they might be like implemented into their bedrooms. But yeah, right now I'm working on what I imagine will be like Vision's office, and I included like a really old-timey computer because this episode kind of showcased them, and I put in some pictures and I was just like, oh, that could be the family. They're really not, like, it's The Sims, but but yeah, overall I'm very happy with how this house turned out, given how challenging it was. It was really fun to do something different. So I definitely want to do something like this again, whether it's a house from like real life or from TV, film, whatever. I really want to do it again. I had a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there and just let some music play out. But if you like this video, please do give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm still very new to YouTube. I kind of took a hiatus for a while, deleted all my videos, and I'm back, and I've like republished all my videos. I realized that I just privated them. I didn't actually delete them, so they are back up on my channel. If you do want to have a look at them, please do. And if you have any feedback or any comments about like how I can improve or anything, please do let me know. I really appreciate any feedback you can give me, because I really do enjoy doing this, but I'm still kind of nervous doing it. I don't know, it's a very weird thing, recording yourself and putting it out there. But yeah, I think I might leave it there. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you soon.